We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Rachel Durkis. We have many new details on stories developing across the Ohio Valley tonight. We start with continuing coverage out of Jefferson County, where tonight the Occupy Steubenville movement has announced more protests are being planned. According to a tweet by KY Anonymous, the next rally will take place on February 2nd at the Jefferson County Courthouse. The tweet states that the group plans to give, quote, new authorities in place a chance. The city of Steubenville responded to allegations of a cover-up for the first time at a press conference held yesterday, where they released the website SteubenvilleFacts.org, where they say you can find simply the facts of this case.
I'm glad that we're distributing information on the website SteubenvilleFacts.org, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, particularly on the internet. I know the main thing now, a lot of people want to know what is being done about this video that has surfaced. Early in the case, during the first week after we were made aware of this incident, we obtained this video. I too, as all my officers who investigated this, were appalled by these morally inept statements made.
Yesterday's protest in support of the alleged victim remained peaceful as speakers shared their stories in support. Last night, a candlelight vigil was also held in support of all rape victims. And Jefferson County Prosecutor Jane Hanlon issued this statement about her involvement in this alleged rape case. This to our news partners at the Herald Star. She says, quote, all allegations that me or my son or my home are involved in any way whatsoever in this criminal matter are 100% false. None of the alleged events occurred at my home. My son was not present at any time while the victim was alleged to have been unconscious, photographed, videotaped, or sexually assaulted. Any statement to the contrary is 100% false. You can read more of Hanlon's statement at our website, WTRF7.com. And we asked you, our viewers, what you think of Occupy Steubenville's rallies. And here's what you had to say. Ronnie says, I agree with what they're doing. Too much local politics ruling the law, not only in Ohio, but in West Virginia, too. Francis adds, it seems to be more of a vigil than an Occupy movement. It was reported the mother of the victim thanked everyone for being there, so if this helps that young girl emotionally, I'm all for it. Joni says, I hope it shows everyone that this whole thing is indeed about the victim, not an all-out war on Steubenville for whatever reason, as some have said. Molly Sue says, was so proud to be there participating, and yes, emphasis was placed on support for Jane Doe and justice being served. And all of this brings us to our Anonymous Security web poll question. We wanted to know, will you visit SteubenvilleFacts.org to stay up to date with the case and investigation? 34% of you said yes, while a little over 65% of you said no.
Viral last week, the young Steubenville man laughing as he describes an unconscious rape victim was the subject of a news conference today. Now that young man's family has hired an attorney to do damage control, and he insists that young man is going through a tough time himself. Let's get straight to DK right here with us live in the studio. DK, what did he say?
Well, specifically, attorney Dennis McNamara referred to his client only as Michael. He didn't give his last name. He says this young man is a good kid from a good family. He says he's a 2012 graduate of Steubenville High School, a scholar, not a football player, and he was in college at Ohio State, but he isn't now. He says Michael was drunk the night of the rape. He used poor judgment and made a very callous and insensitive video.
The video that was released last week is, I think, just barely over 12 minutes long. Last Friday, Mike DeWine, the Ohio Attorney General, had a press conference and described it as disgusting, and that's probably as good an adjective as any to use. I think I would add disappointing, insensitive, and unfortunate.
The room was full of news teams from all over the area and the nation. McNamara said he deliberately called this news conference at a moment's notice because he wanted only the media to be there, no hackers. Still, it was not an easy audience. He insisted that Michael had no part in the rape, that it occurred at another location. He portrayed his client as a good kid who did a dumb thing, but it's clearly a more complex thing than that. And we'll have all the details coming up on 7 News at 6.
All right, thank you, DK. Now our coverage continues with more news on this subject, where a petition on the White House website to push the Steubenville rape case out of juvenile court has reached the required 25,000 signatures. The creator of the petition, Michael W. from Severn, Maryland, says they request the case be pushed to a higher court for, quote, real justice and to allow for a jury trial. Right now, it's unclear what will happen with this petition. We're going to continue to keep you updated.
Hi everyone, I'm Nate Fluharty. Tonight we are bringing continuing coverage on this story as it continues to unfold. Now we are getting answers from the man heading up this investigation as 7 News travels to Columbus, Ohio to talk to Attorney General Mike DeWine. Tonight we asked the tough questions about where this investigation stands and if we could see any changes as to the charges the teens are currently facing, ones that Jamie was just telling you about. Now tune in tonight for 7 News at 6 for a complete update on this case and where it stands. Live in the newsroom, I'm Nate Fluharty. Jamie, back to you.
Thanks, Nate. We are taking a look.
News 9 is everywhere. This is News 9 Live at 5.
Our top story tonight, continuing coverage of the Steubenville teen rape case. We are following several new developments. We begin with today's news conference that you watched live right here on WTOV9.com, hosted by the attorney of the teen, prominently featured in the leaked online video that jokes about the alleged incidents. Natalie Herbig was there and begins our team coverage.
Well, Jeff, disgusting, disappointing, unfortunate, and insensitive. Some of the words attorney Dennis McNamara used to describe the video that he says featured his client, Michael. He only referred to him by his first name. That's how we will be addressing him as well. I asked where Michael was and if he wanted to be present today. McNamara said that both he and Michael's parents did not think that would be a good idea. Now, I want to highlight some of the things addressed during today's conference, touching on his character and who he is. He addressed Michael as a Big Red graduate, scholar student who received an academic scholarship to Ohio State University. He did go on to say that Michael made the decision to leave the school for the winter semester. Touching on the investigation, McNamara said that Michael gave up his cell phone to police and was questioned, but had no firsthand knowledge, nor did he witness any of the alleged sexual acts. He says that Michael was clearly intoxicated in the video, but is blaming the video on poor judgment, not alcohol. He also pieced together the events of that night.
The drinking actually began on Saturday night, August 11th. A number of underage teens were drinking at a student's residence. Michael was among them. And if you've seen the video, you can tell he and the others were intoxicated. Michael didn't know the alleged victim, who some, I guess, have referred to as Jane Doe. He's since been told that she was at the student's house with Michael left that party where the drinking was going on around midnight with a friend, and they stopped at McDonald's and then went to another friend's home, which is where the video was made. The video was made about 2 or 2:30 in the morning on August 12th, and Michael was very callously talking about the sexual assaults that he had been told about by others. There's no excuse or justification for the comments and jokes Michael made on the video, and with some sober reflection, he is ashamed and embarrassed to hear them himself. He sincerely regrets his behavior and his comments and the effect that it's had on all parties involved, including his own family.
Well, McNamara says that Michael got his information from the 3 people who testified to witnessing those events, but can't verify what the boys told Michael was true. And he also says there's no crime committed on the part of his client.
I don't believe that it's a crime, but it's stupid. There would probably be a more moral obligation, a citizenship obligation, if you will, to report that to the police. And obviously there's no justification for the comments on the video.
McNamara says that Michael has not reached out to the teenage girl or her family in any way. He also addressed threats being made to Michael and his family. He says that a second video was out there that has a picture of the teenage girl superimposed to make it look like she was there. He says his client had nothing to do with that, and he says that Michael has also closed his Facebook and Twitter accounts and says that someone has since reactivated those accounts and the postings were not made by his client. Jeff?
And the feds are getting involved in the Steubenville rape case as well. In a News 9 exclusive, our Scott McFarland is working sources in Washington and has learned the U.S. Justice Department is intervening. He joins us now live from Washington. Scott?
Yeah, Jeff, a Justice Department source tells us the federal law enforcement agency is playing a, quote, supporting role in this highly charged, highly visible investigation.
To be clear, the Ohio Attorney General is leading this case, but the Justice Department says it's helping. A former federal law enforcement official tells me it's likely the FBI that's intervened, but the feds have so many investigative resources, perhaps manpower and equipment, that Ohio doesn't have. And if computer hacking is involved in a case, that's federal jurisdiction. This infamous football player video allegedly surfaced because of computer hacking. Meantime, a petition asking the White House to intervene and push this rape case to, quote, higher courts has topped 26,000 signatures. A White House spokesman tells me, quote, appropriate policy staff will review the petition and respond to it. That petition had just 5,000 signatures when we first reported its existence Friday night, and 20,000 more people have signed on since. To be clear, the petition doesn't specify exactly how the White House should move the case to a different court, but indicates local police can't be trusted to be fair.
The Ohio Attorney General's office tells me it insists to me it did not ask for federal help in this case and suggested that the feds might be looking into a, quote, offshoot angle of the Steubenville rape case. We will keep you posted on updates here in Washington. Live at the Capitol, Scott McFarland. News 9, live at 5.
A delay, perhaps even a change of venue in this explosive teen rape case in Steubenville. Well, the attorney for one of the two teens charged says that he wants the case moved out of Jefferson County.
Adam Neiman says witnesses are getting skittish after recent protests and new allegations are churning up online. And he told News 9's Eric Miner the only way his client gets a fair trial is if it moves out of the Ohio Valley.
Usually when an attorney asks for a change of venue, it's because the local jury pool is tainted or there's a perceived conflict within the local county court system. Neither case applies to the Steubenville teen rape trial. It will be heard exclusively by an out-of-town juvenile court judge. So why the request for a change? Defense attorney Adam Neiman tells me that it's because of an unspecified security concern he has with facilities in Jefferson County.
I think that for purposes of getting witnesses come in and testify truthfully without fear of reprisal or fear of going through a gauntlet of spectators outside the courthouse, we would probably, it would make more sense to have a place that's more secure, where witnesses would be easier to procure and would be more willing to testify.
Let me approach it from the other side. I mean, given the attention this case has gotten, is there any way that any location feasibly on the planet where you could have this trial where there won't be this gauntlet?
Right. My main concern is safety. The reason for the delay is normally a quick motion to prepare and file. However, with the internet attention that this has, every day I see information that may be relevant or something that we need to look into further and might be relevant to adding into the motion. So we're taking our time to make sure that we have one adequately prepared.
Can you say specifically what it is that concerns you about security at the Justice Center?
No, I'm not going to discuss that. I can only say if you've got several thousand protesters and we've only got a dozen sheriff's deputies, that concerns me.
Neiman says he will file that motion sometime this week, but it will be sealed, so we may never know the exact nature of those security concerns. In Columbus, Eric Miner, News 9.
Jefferson County Sheriff Fred Abdella told News 9 that he believes people shouldn't have concerns about security in the area. He says his deputies and other law enforcement officers are doing their job to keep people safe at this time. He declined to comment any further. Now, we've been following this story for you since it first broke in August, and of course you can count on News 9 as this case continues to unfold. Look for more during all of our newscasts and on our website, WTOV9.